I started last night putting this new flame wheel kit together. I decided to retire the old flame wheel and just put this together as a new kit. There's some things I don't like about it. There's some things I do like about it. Just the old flame wheel, the screws had been taken in and out so many times. I just figured putting together this new kit might be better. It'll sort of be the same flame wheel, but I think I like it. So I'm putting the motors on the arms, the ESCs on the motor. A little strange how small a wire gauge the ESC wires are for me. Well, they'll be easier to solder. And one thing I do not like about it is this kit came with DJI flame wheel props instead of just using generic props. Probably switch to generic props later, but they're the ones that you just tighten on, and there's no through hole to put this on a prop balancer, so there won't be any balancing of these props that I know of. That kind of bothers me. Other than that, it's the same arms, it's the same top and bottom plate. The ESCs are much smaller physically. They say they're what, 40? They say they're 4S 30 amp ESCs. They sure are small. So it might not be, well, I'm sure it's not going to be as fast or capable as the old flame wheel. The old flame wheel got like a 650 millimeter upgrade kit from Aerial Media at one point. I think it was Aerial Media that let me put 12-inch props on it. So this is going to be a little more subdued flame wheel. I've got the bottom plate over here on the solder station to tin up all these pads before I screw anything to it. Like I say, all new parts. The old flame wheel is, like I say, much more capable. Probably goes faster. It's got 10-inch props on it right now, and the ESCs are quite a bit bigger. Yeah, they're 50 amp. A lot bigger and a lot heavier, times 6. The motors are a lot bigger, and you could use generic props on them, as you can see there. I did get these new ESCs last year, but the motors turned out to be just a little crusty. Like I say, this thing sat in a tree for 2 weeks one time and rained on, and that was 6 or 8 years ago or more. So seeing I bought the kit, I was just going to use the ESCs and motors out of it on this, but I decided just to build it up new. Just like the Honey Badger got archived, whatever, put in the museum, and the DJI F450 got kind of museumed. I don't know if that's what I'll do with the original flame wheel. I may find motors for it and just change all the motors out. Again, I was going to take this kit and just use the motors out of this when maybe the ESCs. The ESCs and the other one are only a year old when I built it up last year and didn't know anything about notch filtering, and it was crazy how it flew, kind of like Bardwell's platform flew recently. Just so much vibration. It just was all over the sky. I flew it 5 or 6 times trying to get it ready for auto tune, but because I wasn't doing any notch filtering or following the documentation, it was just absolutely crazy how it flopped around. Did a little test with it with a return to home altitude of 200 feet because of the trees around here. It did go up to 200 feet, but boy, it did not want to come down. And when I tried to bring it down, because it was in its own prop wash, it rocked around so much it just got crazy. Got to flying off in the wind. I luckily had the return to home set up, invoked it 2 or 3 times. It did work to get it back in that same spot, but the way it was flopping around, I was up to 200, 300 feet. I finally just got disgusted with it and basically dropped the throttle down to 10% or so, let it fall. I wasn't even worried it was going to hit the ground, but then I caught it near the ground by raising the throttle successfully and got it back on the ground without breaking it. But then again, I took it out to the close field here, and at 10 feet it flipped upside down and hit the ground and broke an arm. Then I learned about notch filtering and stuff, so I'm trying to build this back up to the same level as the 2 quads are now, ready to do notch filtering in first flights. But because of the size of the motors and stuff, I decided just to build this kit. $389 was kind of cheap for F550 kit, in my humble opinion. Think I might just buy 6 new motors for the other one at some point and redo it rather than putting it in the museum. But let's look at what the motors look like real quick. This doesn't fit on the sorter station well, so I can show you what I'm talking about, but we'll try it here. You can see there's a substantial difference in size in the motors. I don't know what the KV is on these because they just say aerial. What is that? They just say Aerial Media Pros on them, and these, you can kind of see how some of that magnets and stuff inside there are rusted, and these screws are rusted from sitting in the trees. These do say 2312E 960 kV motors. Oh, that says counterclockwise. I wonder if there's counterclockwise and clockwise motors in this kit. God, I can change them around just by changing these wires on the ESCs. So Area Media Pros only made this kit, came with the extensions so you could use 12-inch props on it, these motors, and 6 ESCs as part of their kit. That was $750 back then for these. Maybe I can contact Aerial Media Pros and ask them what their old heavy lift kit, what the motors actually were, so I can match them. So I'll just build up this other one as it is and see how it flies. It won't be as high performance as this setup, but again, maybe Area Media Pros can tell me what these motors actually are, because it isn't written on them at all. And I can find 6 of that kind of size. I would take these extensions off and drop back down to 10-inch props. These extensions, if you crash it, they bend. These were bent so many times, and I hammered them back out flat. But I do love this platform so much, and I hope I'm not really disappointed in the new one being, I'm sure, much less high performance. Oh man, some of these motors are labeled clockwise motors and then counterclockwise motors. I hadn't been paying any attention to that as I put those first 2 on, but man, that's crazy. I'll match them up. I've got 2 more white arms. I'll put counterclockwise motors on them and make the red arms one counterclockwise and one clockwise. But I never seen motors labeled clockwise and counterclockwise before, so that's new to me. Man, always something. Alright guys, thank you so much. I'll update you as this thing goes together.